Greetings and welcome to, oh boy, I don't have my earphones on. And welcome to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour gospel station. The Eyes of the Conscious Soul brings to you every first Saturday of the month from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. the Cafe Le Bleu Lounge, where there are 15 to 45-minute segments called The Corner. Each corner has a blueprint that is unique of its own. So we always ask you to relax, vibe out to some cool sounds if we are listening to music. And definitely, we are here having fireside chats. And we want you to be inspired by affirmations and inspirational messages. The first corner on the Cafe Le Bleu Lounge is the Artist Talk. We showcase musicians, poets, singers, dancers, film producers, authors, comedians, gospel and R&B rappers from around the Bay Area to across the globe. They will show and share their creative process with their lived experience. The second part of the corner could be Why I Dream. We highlight and honor the inventions and creative work of today's brilliant minds, along with the geniuses from our past. We are preserving African American history and culture in order to keep our legacy alive. And on the corner, you can also, within those 15 minutes, you can see or hear She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. Here's where we hear from individuals sharing their personal testimonies to what the Lord has done and is doing in their lives, which are inspirational messages. Also, we are highlighting Golden Lights affirmations to impart healing medicine in the souls of the brilliant minds of today. Every second Saturday of the month, we have the Medicine Hour with Mr. George Pearson, PA, clinician PIS, which is his degree.
PA-CBS.
All right, thank you, sir. This is where we believe building a better tomorrow starts with us. Topics we cover: health issues and concerns, healthy eating habits, education, finance, and politics in the African American community. We believe taking care of our temple, mind, and spirit is essential to having mental wellness, healthy eating habits, definitely, and knowing that healthy thinking leads to a healthy way of living. Every third Saturday of the month, we have the Medicine Hour with our host, Mr. George Pearson. He is the founder. Education is the Best Medicine is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization which is community based, health, educational advocacy based, and a resource based organization that uses public media, resources, radio, newspapers, and church based community health fairs to provide health information and education. And I will let him say his slogan. We
Well,
believe.
um, it's, the view of education's best medicine is and has always and will always be deceiving and seen while shining light on the darkness in our community and the world.
Thank you. And then every fourth Saturday of the month, we have the Lights Out Youth and Young Adults Radio Show. And then the fifth Saturday of the month, we have Community Voices. We want to thank you for allowing us to share all of the information that we just shared with you today. It is important that we share our broadcasting and the different shows that you can partake in. And today we have the Medicine Hour. Our topic is Your Health Matters. Boy, I'm getting tongue tied. Haven't been in the studio in a while, but it's all good. You know, just coming back from Brazil, getting used to the time frame. It was 4 hours different, but thank you, Mr. Pearson, for always bringing your knowledge and your wisdom to our community. We appreciate you, and we love and thank you for what you do. So,
welcome back.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank
You
you.
look rested.
I am well rested and ready to go.
Okay.
Have an event that's coming up next Saturday.
Okay.
We are having a free health spa day for the women. However, we are encouraging them and empowering them and loving on them on that day.
And I think that
And that's a part of Your Health Matters.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that first of all, again, welcome back.
And thank you, sir.
I want to thank RTV and Believe Radio for continuing to help us move forward. And I think today for us is November, right?
Yes.
And a lot of things have been going on.
Yeah.
And I kind of just want to say we survived the elections.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And I just think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a major tussle in the Republican Party, and it's going to be between Trump and DeSantis. We'll see how that plays out. I wanted to kind of inform the public about the fact that we are seeing an increase in RSV, the respiratory signal virus in children. It seems to be overwhelming a number of younger children too. So we just ask that families be sure to check in with their providers. And what they're finding with the kids is that they're having really hard time breathing or labored breathing or just again having a problem moving air. And sometimes this comes early day or late at night, and so the kids aren't aware that they're in trouble, and so it's a lot of delay in terms of getting them to.
Just trying to get your mic right, brother.
Thank you.
There you go.
To the proper facility, and I guess it's when you don't want to wait. So again, we're in a period, I think, between, as I was saying, between November and probably January, we're going to see a lot of viral illness just because of the fact that we've been locked down for 2 years and not exposed and also not vaccinated. So I would encourage folks to meet their primary provider. I just got my last pneumo vaccination a week or so ago, and I ended my series for the boosters.
Oh, great.
Because you have to do these things. If all of us aren't vaccinated, none of us are vaccinated. And again, my concern and why I'm just kind of pushing this is because the children are going to be affected. Those are the last line that weren't vaccinated or haven't been vaccinated and haven't been exposed. So they're getting ready to go back to school. Some of them haven't been to school in 2 years. So,
oh my goodness.
And so we're seeing, again, masking is almost non-existent now. Hand washing is almost non-existent. Social distancing is almost non-existent. So this creates the perfect storm for a respiratory virus tsunami. So, and I don't mean to be a bearer of bad news, but it's just the system right now is pretty well overwhelmed, particularly a number of people did not return to the workforce in terms of the healthcare industry. So it's a lot of understaffing in the hospitals, particularly in the pediatric wards.
Well, it is very important that you share the information. We're thankful that you're doing that, even being a bearer of bad news. But in our community, sometimes we are the ones that get things late. So for you being able to share the information that you have with us, we are grateful and thankful. Go ahead, sir.
So I wanted to kind of look at first of all, I want to say happy birthday again to my
happy
granddaughter.
Birthday.
We had a pizza party in her.
And you were vaccinated, so you was able to go, no issues. Go ahead, sir.
And my son's mother was there.
Oh.
Whoa, okay, but that's okay. We're gonna make this work.
Okay, well, and then we also want to honor. We want to honor your baby girl. Her mother birthday would have been November the 3rd. Is that correct?
Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie.
So
may her soul rest in peace in heaven.
Yeah. So we were, and so it was a great party and had by all. So I'm glad that my grandchild invited me and family, grandparents, all that stuff. That being said, it's November.
Yeah.
And
almost the ending of the year. My God, we at the ending of the year.
Yeah, and
it's amazing how
some of the sources this information is taken from is the CDC, the American Diabetic Association, American Lung Association, the National Health Observatory, and so these are systems where they kind of look at each month they kind of target a particular disease or list of diseases, and I thought November was really kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's also gratitude month.
Oh, wow.
So we have to
Yeah, a
make
lot
sure
of
we
things to be
give
thankful for.
gratitude. It's Thanksgiving and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So it is gratitude. It's to be grateful. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
be grateful and humble.
Well, it's important for us to
Yeah.
make sure that we share what we are grateful and thankful for. It allows us to um, just recognize and realize that we could be all better, could be worse.
Exactly.
So thank
Yeah.
God.
So and for this in November, the National Health Observance was on diabetes,
Oh.
chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, uh, lung cancer is included, and antibiotic resistance. And so these are four things that kind of like have been highlighted in November. And I want to dedicate the show to my to Barbara Booth, who was my father's wife's daughter, who died of diabetes early in her life. And in fact, and it gave us. She died December 4th, 2004. And she was probably in her late 50s, as I understand it. And as I look back at it, that was really young.
Yeah.
For a woman. She had like 4 kids and with a husband who it just devastated her. And I just thought about in my mind what diabetes and these kinds of illnesses that sometimes go under evaluated, underdiagnosed, undertreated in our community, and they have a devastating effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, when I we were we had just been able to start writing for Mina. You were doing poetry, and I was doing the. I had a education in best medicine article entitled, and also did a thing called in the first person, which means having the person talk about themselves or in the first person. And so.
And Mina was a African American Black-owned newspaper in Oakland, California.
Anthony Rabb, thank you.
Yeah, Anthony Rabb. Oh my
I
God,
wish
Mr. Rabb. I
you
wonder if he's still
good.
with us.
And we're going to be bringing some of our in those early shows of education based medicine. A lot of this in video context. Around 2003, 2004, we recorded a series of shows from 2003 to 2008. It highlighted a lot of things we're talking about, and it's going to be interesting to be able to see on the website. So it's
Wow.
fun.
And my column was inspirational messages.
Yeah, and then we found some of the poetry, so we're going to have you
we'll
pull
have
it
that
out.
a little later.
Pull it out.
All right,
So,
pull off the archives. All right,
so that
2004. Oh my goodness.
At the time we were doing this, my article, I said that the impact of hypertension, and because hypertension, diabetes are cardiovascular disease. Diabetes is considered to be an independent risk factor for heart attack and stroke, and we now understand that diabetes impacts cardiovascular health and one of the primary issues in terms of heart attack, stroke, and kidney, vision issues, neuropathies, that kind of thing. And so I said the impact of diabetes, elevated blood sugar, some people refer to it as the touch of sugar, right? And at that time, it was affecting 17 million Americans, and 10.5 million people were unaware of the diagnosis. And diabetes, again, said is the independent risk factor for heart attack and stroke. Fast forward to 2022, and uh, I pulled up this fact sheet. Now, a total of 37.3 million people have diabetes.
Wow.
11.3% of the U.S. population. Remember, I said in 2004 it was between 10.5 million and 17 million, and now it's 37.3 million. So
dramatic change. Goodness.
Quadruple.
Yeah.
You know. Diagnosed 28.7 million people, including, remember, the baseline is between 10 and 17 million. And so in 2022, because this data is about that, we're talking about 2021, 2022, we're talking about 2021, 2020, this data comes from. Diagnosed 28.7 million people, including 28.5 million adults. Undiagnosed is 8.5 million people. And that's or 20% of diagnosis are patients undiagnosed. So we not only are we have more people that are diagnosed, we have a larger percentage of that are undiagnosed. And we're going to peer into the numbers about African Americans also because, again, that's who I'm concerned about in 1619, right?
We want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Please check out all of the broadcasts. We are here to support, encourage, and motivate you to be all that you can be. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
Um, and so, and we also see that a total of 96 million people aged 18 years or older have prediabetes.
Wow.
And 65 years or older, 26.4 million people aged 65 or older have prediabetes.
What is causing this?
Well, in 2004, this article I wrote said the epidemic of obesity now fuels most of the forms of diabetes type 2. So there's type 1 diabetes and type 2. Type 1 diabetes is that you were never born with the insulin machinery, so you automatically have to have insulin once you're born because you don't have the machinery, you don't produce enough insulin out of your pancreas, or your pancreas is deficient in it to an extent that there's a period where a person that is type 1 diabetic is non-diabetic, but it doesn't last that long, and they ultimately need to be on insulin for the rest of their lives. Where the majority of diabetes is type 2 diabetes. And again, the epidemic of obesity now fuels most of the form of diabetes type 2. And that's, again, I wrote that in 2004.
Wow, and here we are in 22.
And the epidemic of obesity fuels.
My goodness.
So why is this important? And so again, a dig down into the numbers. African Americans in 2018, non-Hispanic blacks were twice as likely as non-Hispanic whites to die from diabetes. That means, in this case, Africans in America. Direct descendants of slaves, 1619. So in 2018, non-Hispanic blacks were twice as likely as non-Hispanic whites to die from diabetes. African American adults are 60% more likely than non-Hispanic white adults to be diagnosed with diabetes by a physician/clinician. In 2017, non-Hispanic blacks were 3.2 times more likely to be diagnosed with end-stage renal disease as compared to non-Hispanic whites. So we see a direct correlation between diabetes and renal failure. Okay, and dialysis. Remember that? You remember the
election?
Election, right?
Yeah.
So why would you wanna
close the clinics?
Why? Why you want to do that? Right. Why would you want to close dialysis?
What is in your mind and in your heart to do that?
Yeah. Well, again, we got voted down again. This must be the 5th time it's been on the ballot too in my voting life.
And it's like, why is it there?
Yeah.
Why would you even put it on the ballot?
Man, it's intense. In 2017, non-Hispanic blacks were 2.3 times more likely to be hospitalized for lower limb amputations as compared to non-Hispanic whites. In other words, African Americans were more likely to have lower limb amputations, and once you start amputating people's extremities, it seems like they decompensate from there. So, and this is from like poor foot care, for poorly controlled diabetes, that kind of thing. I think the twist I would say to it also is that I'm seeing in clinical practice, I'm seeing a younger diabetic. What I mean by when I first started practicing in 1982, most of my diabetics were like 40 to 60. Now, most of the diabetics are between 20 and 30.
Wow.
And so they've lived with the disease at least 10 years. And some of them have had heart attacks, some have had strokes, some have had kidney failures. I mean, some have had, amputations. Again, remember they're younger, living with the disease longer. And it takes a while to understand how to control it, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and so this is kind of like the first bite of the apple. We're going to be talking more about these in depth in regards to the pathophysiology of diabetes and treatment and general exams. We're going to cover all these because they're all important.
Right. Well, we thank you for bringing it to the forefront.
In particular, the antibiotic resistance. I think they have a real correlation because we're moving to this viral season, and people are going to be coming in because they're not vaccinated. I need antibiotics, and antibiotics don't work on viruses. That's the take.
Say that again, please, sir.
Antibiotics do not work on viruses. I don't care whether it's COVID or influenza or RSV. Antibiotics do not work on viruses. They have to be treated supportively.
And can you tell us what the antibiotics are?
Well, antibiotics are great. They're great. They were before the turn of the century. Until you had a drug like penicillin, most people were dying of sepsis and overall infections, particularly on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So antibiotics have their place, but they're like anything else. The society and folk think everything's a quick fix. So instead of getting vaccinated, if I get sick, I can get an antibiotic. Yeah. So the issue with that is that the pharmaceutical companies don't get a real big return on antibiotic in creating new antibiotics. So therefore, we've hit a wall in terms of antibiotics that can treat, when everybody's resistant. When you had so many, and this is not just resistant because they took more antibiotics, because they're immune compromised, because their systems just don't work as well as others. They have genetic as well as, like a baby who's immune compromised. Or an older person who's immune compromised. So you may have to have a series of antibiotics on them, and sometimes it's not working.
So, listen, family, we are here encouraging and empowering you today to know that your health matters. Without your health, you can't do anything. You can't work. So, we are just asking you to please take care of yourself. And this is, again, around the holiday season. There's going to be a whole lot of good food out there and cakes and sweets and all those kind of different things. But do it in moderation, as Mr. Pearson always shares and tells me.
Interesting.
Do it in moderation. But
interesting, all this is moving to behavior and as well as food modification and exercise.
Okay.
All these things can be addressed or limited by, basic sound, baseline principles of, plant-based diet, more water, less sugar, less fast foods, more exercise, finding a quiet place, taking care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. And I find it really true, my mother and women like yourself that continue to work as hard as you do. And that's a shout out to all women that do that. The second part to this November piece is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And if you hadn't heard about it, I hadn't either because it was usually a male disease, a male smoker disease. But we're finding now that it has a different kind of predilection, and basically chronic obstructive pulmonary disease is either a discussion whether the lung tree and the in tissue and respiratory apparatus, the alveoli, are destroyed, and an individual can't return and have good oxygen exchange at the most microscopic level. And so then we'll talk about more. Again, we're going to do diabetes, pathophysiology, we're going to do COPD physiology. Again, but the take-home message with COPD is that, you don't have to smoke to get it, but if you smoke, you got a better risk of getting it. You
Boy.
know, so
Healthy behaviors, as you said earlier, huh?
so some of it is that COPD affects about 30 million Americans, but up to now there's been little known about state issues, and so I was able to pull up some state data. And I'll share that for California. And this is from the COPD Foundation. In 2018, 9 million adults, or 3.6 adults 18 older, had chronic bronchitis, and the rates were greater among non-Hispanic whites compared to other racial and ethnic groups. And why is that? Because people of color smoke more because it's a pleasure.
And the menthol is addicting.
Of course, that's why vaping, that's why all these things. Because if you start with these kids, you start.
And I'm glad that it didn't pass.
Again, I mean, just relating to the state and politics.
That's me, my personal view.
Well, the thing about it is that it becomes a health issue, becomes a public health issue for those young kids to become smokers that have not the issue around respiratory diseases with the issue, but a long-term chronic lung disease and ultimately lung cancer.
And and it's also a ploy to get now the next generation of smokers.
Of course, they're vaping. A sexy way of more cigarettes. And it said, and of course, ages 65 or older compared to younger, they were more at risk. Again, in 2018, again, we talk about bronchitis, we talk about, which is chronic inflammation of the airways, emphysema, which again is the structure of the airway mechanism of the alveoli. In 2018, rates were greater among non-Hispanic whites compared to other racial ethnic groups. So when we talk about lung disease per se, we talk about bronchitis, we talk about emphysema, we talk about COD. It always impacts Africans in America more people of color, definitely African Americans. Again, because why? Because the liquor stores, all this stuff has been situated
every
in our community. It's
by design.
And environmental racism. Again, if people are really interested, they should really review the preliminary white paper the preliminary white paper that's written in California on reparations. And I have a problem thinking about it sometimes because I don't think about the reparations. I was impressed by the factual data, the collection that showed that it just wasn't my imagination that we have had a rock on our heads for a number of years.
Well, on that note, I do want to share that this piece of paper that I have received from Emoja class at Laney College. You always talk about the 1619. You just want to just always impart our history because our history is so important. And I'm just going to just this little timeline that says here's just a timeline of selected moments in African American history, 1619 through 2022. 1619. It is believed that the first captured Africans arrived in the American colonies in the Jamestown, Virginia. They were originally from the African country of Angola. They were sold either as indigenous servants, or slaves. By 1690, every colony had slaves. So to go back to piggyback, when you always talk about history, these diseases come from a part of slavery?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. It's for us, I think it's the mental disease.
The mental disease. Okay.
And so this whole emphasis on mental health has to do with those mental issues that make us sick. So if they make us sick, then we're more likely to not care and do risky behavior because it is better than doing the normal. And that's where the trauma comes in because you're self-medicated and emotionally self-medicated too sometimes.
And so by you dropping that note, I definitely want to give kudos out to NAMI Contra Costa. They have designed a support peer family and the community. It's an African American uplift program, and we utilize lived experience, African centered approaches, and community defined strategies. Contra Costa County's first African American centered non-clinical support program. If you are African American and in need of mental health support, you can drop by, call, or visit our website and speak with a peer counselor or family advocate. And this is the NAMI CC, NAMI Contra Costa. The warm line is 925-465-3864. I will repeat. The warm line is 925-465-3824. The website is www.namicontracosta.org. And we want to give kudos to Miss Gigi Crotter for always supporting and giving her life, work, and heart and soul out to our communities, folks that are dealing with any issues with mental health or just having support. We have different um, groups that you can be a part of that will support you and your family. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
And on the continue to carry this piece with um, COPD, and again it says that the rates were again greater among non-Hispanic whites, and with the rates were greater among non-Hispanic whites compared to the other racial and ethnic groups, men compared to women, and age 65. But I wanted to kind of hold that thought because I'm reviewing the article that says that chronic obstructive pulmonary disease in African and European women, morbidity, mortality, which is sickness, mortality, death, and healthcare utilization. And so, and I thought it was interesting. It said that the death rate in African American women was only half compared with European women. Further rates of COPD were prevalent in emergency room visits, and it was just a general review report. Now, part of that is that if you can't get to the hospital, you can't be seen.
No.
So if less women of color are coming than white women, that may not be the case that they don't want to come, it's that they can't get there.
Absolutely.
So again, this is where you got to look at the kind of look at the data and kind of understand. Some of it is not what it says it is. And I guess the interesting caveat off this information too is that women that weren't smoking that got COPD. It said that although COPD is the third leading cause of death in the United States, and it's the main cause of disability, with smoking being considered the largest single risk factor for COPD. Because smoking rates are decreasing in the U.S., there is an increased need to identify among non-smokers that are at higher risk for COPD. And that usually means secondhand smoke, working in environments where people are smoking, that kind of thing. And it kind of said that it has something to do with hormonal issues too. And what I mean by hormones is that women produce progesterone, it may make them more susceptible to lung disease when those hormone levels change, either postmenopausal. And again, it's just more women smoking and more women having access to those kind of products. So they're starting to see more women than men. It says that hormones may also play a role. In addition, women are more likely to have been exposed to secondhand smoke from spouses who smoke. It said Fuller Thompson was a Sandra Rothman endowed chair. Again, African American women have by far had the highest prevalence of COPD among older adults who have never smoked. We found that after adjusting for income and education levels, the odds of COPD among African American women compared to white women declined by more than half. We cannot determine the causality, but we think it has to do with increased toxin exposure, such as secondhand smoke in the workplace, air pollution, inner city environments. So in other words, the whole environment is toxic to African women's health,
Wow.
their respiratory health, and they don't even smoke.
Wow.
Mm,
Excellent
mm.
information. Well, once again, you have tuned in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Please, please check it out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all those good things. Gives us checks and loves and hearts and all that kind of stuff. Please, please, if you're looking for any advertising or want to share information about what you're doing in our actual community, there's across the screen there, you would see a way to email us and hopefully be able to get the opportunity to get on the show. Every first Saturday of the month, we have the Cafe Le Blue Lounge with the artist talk, Why I Dream, She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. Every second Saturday is the Medicine Hour. Every third Saturday is Education is the Best Medicine. Every fourth Saturday is the Lights Out, Straight Talk, Youth and Young Adult Radio Show. And every fifth Saturday of the month, we have the Kitchen Table. As we are talking and sharing the information, we want to just give you a little share of some health stress tips from the California um, uh, Hope, Cal Hope, and Nami CC Contra Costa shares this information here. It says, take a break from the news if it's causing you to feel overwhelmed. Another is maintain social contact by phone, text, or email with those who support you. And then the third is treat your body kindly. Eat healthy foods, avoid excessive alcohol, and exercise as you are able. Again, we want to keep your body, your mind alive and vibrant. So you are listening in to the Medicine Hour on the Eyes of the Conscious Soul. And today's topic is Your Health Matters. Take it away, Mr. Pearson.
I just to say about the holidays, people need to, because this is the first holiday post COVID.
COVID, okay.
People need to be a little bit more diligent and careful, and we're gonna see how this plays out. I'm hoping there'll be minimal um, interruptions, but I guess that always understand that prior planning prevents against poor performance.
A question for you, Mr. Pearson.
Yeah.
So we were talking about your health matters, anxiety. What causes anxiety, and what should we be looking out for? What do we need to do to keep down our anxiety count?
Well, anxiety, when one looks at it from a standpoint of safety, of rescue,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have people think about anxiety as if you ever watched Jurassic Park,
Mm-hmm.
The movie, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex comes out.
I don't watch scary movies. I can't. Go ahead.
Okay. And if you do that, okay, learn something new every day.
There you go.
If you do that,
God.
it's not that the fact that you feel like the animal's going to come out of the screen. It's that fear of it coming out of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so the discussion around anxiety is protection.
Mm-hmm.
It is a heightened sense of awareness that makes one, protect themselves. So, in other words, if you become really anxious and you feel there's a threat to you, then your body starts to shunt blood from the central part of its body to the peripheral, so you can have more strength to run, either fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the other one that people don't forget. I just figured this out.
Mm-hmm.
In nature, you can also freeze.
Wow. Fight, flight, or freeze.
Exactly. Now think about that, because, and then you can watch some of these videos and stuff, you can see a way of some animals surviving is blended into the context of the environment and freezing. Now, why is that good, bad, or indifferent? Well, 6 million years ago, you needed to be fighting or running or freezing
Mm-hmm.
because you were that steak dinner.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Yeah. Now, that's 6 million years ago, and it functions in a part of your brain called the amygdala. It's one of the most
Amygdala.
amygdala. It's one of the most primitive parts of our brain, but it's responsible for protection for us. You know, emotion, that kind of thing. Brain's interesting. It's an interesting tabloid of chemical messaging and environmental
It's
factors.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Um, but the bottom line with the anxiety is that that is our mechanism to address fear. And I tell folks I take care of is that anxiety is the fear of something that you think is going to happen, but probably won't, but could. Anything can happen, right? But the question is, so I give an analogy, the kind of picture I try to have people look at is that if you're walking off a busy street and the car almost whizzes past you, oh, that's immediate danger. You have to step back and you got scared. You may say some bad words or good words, or you pray and get yourself right. Now, that's an immediate threat that needs to be addressed. The issue with anxiety is that that person sees that same threat, that same car, but it's four lights in the opposite side of that direction, and it has a red light at each light. There's no way that car can get to him, but it could. But it's that perception or that thought of this happening that's the anxiety. Now, and what does it do? You run, you fight, or you freeze. Sad thing about that is it's in rape stuff.
Yeah.
When women freeze or they were told to freeze. I can think back to some discussions. This little boy, husband telling wife, "Well, if you ever think you're gonna get raped, just lay back and enjoy it." But you think that's but that's look. This is 1619.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on now.
It's
Come
all.
on, go back in history.
They say
Jesus.
slavery was on the ballot in a couple of. I think I can't say. I don't want to say it was slavery on the ballot in one of the states, and of course they voted against it. But 45 people voted for slavery.
Wow.
That's where we're at. So in regards to the anxiety piece, we're moving away from medicines from it. There's some decent medicine to help with anxiety, but it's kind of understanding the trigger and the trauma, and addressing that. Deep breathing, visualization, stuff called behavioral activation. We replace that bad thought with a good thought. Eating properly. So diet plays a role in anxiety. Again, foods that aren't good for you usually don't have you think good. Have you function
there is
well.
True.
So, again, this is a discussion about taking care of self before you take care of anyone else, and getting some help. It's
okay.
It's okay to get help.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Family, it is okay.
And I think that back to institutional and structural racism, that's what's happened. We've been taught that it wasn't okay. We've been taught that we should be the strongest, biggest bull in the pen. Nothing can hurt us, nothing can harm us. We were wimpy. I mean, men don't cry. The whole issue. And so that's what you create. You create, discussions around young men that are murdering young men, not because of anything else, but because of rep. Because they've been disrespected.
Right.
Anyway, but so anxiety, there's some good stuff with it. Cognitive behavioral therapy seems to be very good with it. I know there have been medicines. I use some. What's off the table for me is benzodiazepines. There's just too many problems with them, and at the end point, you don't get the benefit that you need from them. So talk to your provider. People develop a plan to get and see a therapist and see what the trigger is. If you find out what the trigger is, you can address it. You can preempt it. It's kind of like you wouldn't go outside. Well, maybe you might, if it's raining without an umbrella or your coat and jacket. So that's what you have to do with anxiety. You have to preempt it. Particularly social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Exposure therapy is one of those things that you do, but you have to be comfortable with exposure
Mm-hmm.
and understand that the process of it making you uncomfortable is a part of the treatment. You know, exercise always works. Meditation, relaxation techniques always work. Always can help.
And the reason why I asked that question is because around this time of the year,
Oh,
anxiety just goes,
yeah.
it just,
Depending on where you're at and what's going on. And
mm-hmm.
again, we're just getting back from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to play a role in people. It's like I always say that New Year's is the wrong time to go out because people that usually wouldn't go out
Are out.
are out. Now multiply that times 10 this year, and
Oh,
you're going to have a few problems
right.
just from the numbers. Yeah. So my last thing and we're going to talk about lung cancer also, but I just want to mention that because although we're talking about breast cancer and um, uh, breast cancer, colon cancer as major cancers, the number one cancer is lung cancer
Hmm.
for men and women. Directly related to smoking with genetics, but again, all this hoopla about breast cancer and colon cancer and prostate cancer, still more cases of lung cancer. Yeah. So my take on that is don't smoke. But so the last trifecta was antibiotic resistance, and I was going like, I don't want to talk about antibiotic resistance, but then I thought,
Yeah.
wow, it's getting to those holiday months,
Yes, sir.
and 30% of Americans aren't vaccinated.
People get
And they're going to
vaccinated.
be going to the ER, which is
Oh my
understaffed and
goodness.
overworked, and demanding antibiotics for what do we say? Antibiotics don't treat a virus.
Virus.
So I want to bring it up that now we have a number of antibiotics don't work, and a number of people aren't protected because they've taken so many antibiotics they're resistant. So they would have to go into the hospital if they need anybody to have an IV antibiotic because the standard antibiotics won't work for them. So it says that more than 2.8 million antibiotic-resistant infections occur each year. More than 35,000 people die as a result, according to CDC's 2019 antibiotic and C. difficile. It's a bacterial infection, a GI infection, and it's again from overgrowth of bacteria. Um, Says that it is not typically resistant, but it can cause deadly diarrhea and is associated with antibiotic use. It is added to these. The U.S. told all the threats in the report exceeds 3 million infections and 48,000 deaths. So just imagine not being able to have a medicine to treat you because you're resistant to it, and there's no other options.
Well, thank
So,
you once again for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a inspirational and gospel music station. Please go on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and Twitter, and with all these social media platforms, and make sure that you click that you are enjoying the shows. Definitely make sure that you are listening to the gospel music station. Let it be your inspirational music for you during your day, through your daily, whatever you're doing. We want you to make sure that you have some inspirational music that's playing along with all these. We talk about anxiety and all these different things. We gotta sometimes come away from negative.
the unplug.
Unplug. There we go. Unplug. Unplug, people. Bottom line, unplug. And it's crazy. You
Did
think that
you
is not addicting?
did you
That
unplug in
these,
Brazil?
yes, I did. I didn't check no.
Okay, I
Look,
was
I couldn't
checking.
even get online. I couldn't do anything.
Oh,
So I was
okay.
like, okay, I guess
Okay.
it's for me not to be
Mm.
on because I normally, when I'm gone and I'm on vacation, I will tap in. But it
Were
was
you
about that.
anxious? So here's a discussion. Were you anxious in terms of just unplugging?
Well, again, I'm glad that you said that because social media, well, it's addicting. And you can tell if you're addicted. Just try for 5 minutes putting your phone down and not going on social media and see what happens. We talk about drugs, but we don't talk about these type of platforms being addicting, which it is.
Well,
That's just my my my
that
take.
that being
That
said,
being said,
in
I know you
2004,
you wasn't
we
gonna let
were
me.
standing for change. So, Sister
Oh
B
my
Mellow,
God.
aka Barbara Howard, entrepreneur and poetess and
Oh
mentor, and
God.
just all around good girl, a good girl to herself and her family. She
I
was
used to be a bad girl a
standing.
long time ago when I was
She
younger.
was.
So I thank God for
She
the
was.
change. I know it's God is real.
She was standing for change.
Standing
So
for
I'm
change.
gonna let her read a few things, and I'm gonna read a little. It says that magic.
Oh Lord.
Making a commitment in the Bay Area, Hunters Point in San
That was
Francisco
Be Magic.
was Be
Jeff
Magic.
Adachi, Jeff Adachi, I started that program with him
Magic,
on my father's behalf.
motivation, adolescence, growth in our community.
Hmm.
So, take it away.
No, you didn't, but okay, that's just how we get down, people.
Yeah, take it away.
we get down in that way. So it says standing for change, written by Ms.Barbara Howard. Be Magic, making a
So, what were you thinking about when you wrote this?
Oh my God, oh wow.
Wait, I know it was a deadline. Anthony said, where's your assignment? I got mine in. You getting yours in. We had to. It was always an assignment to beat. So that was one little pressure on the.
Wow, and I realize here that I wrote a lot. I couldn't share all of it of what we said, but
Share some tidbits.
when you were saying what standing for change, and I'll say this: kudos out to Mr. Howard, which is my dad. He was the founder of Wendy's Cheesecake Bakery, one of the four of out of four of the oldest African American businesses in San Francisco. In the Bayview district, it was Everton Jones Barbecue. It was my parents. It was Marcus Bookstore, and it was Duke City at that particular time. So the motivation for change, standing for change, was my dad. He shared with Jeff Adachi as he was running for his seat. He was sharing with him is that our youth need a program that's going to inspire them and help them, get out of the streets and give them something to live for. So, creating and being a part of the Magic, which is, oh my God, they are flourishing today, keeping the legacy alive. I'm thankful and grateful that I was a part of that. But it says, Be Magic, making a commitment in the Bayview Hunters Point community in San Francisco. Magic, motivation, adolescence, growth in our community. We tilt our hats to Be Magic CBO workshops in the San Francisco community on Friday, October the 29th. So this was not
So
a
you were
poem.
working in the bakery at
I
that
was
time?
working with in the bakery at that time,
Okay.
and working with Jeff. He has his backpack giveaway still. They still have it going on. He's deceased now, may his soul rest in peace. But however, he was a catalyst for change in the Bayview district, and not only in the Bayview district, but for all of San Francisco's. He was the public defender there, and he, matter of fact, was one of the second people that did my tours. As you know, that I have a nonprofit, and it's called BH Brilliant Minds, and it means Begin Healing Brilliant Minds. And we empower the youth to take control of their own destiny. And we do that by giving them essential tools that's going to help them get to where they want to be via self awareness workshops and health and wellness. And along with that, financial literacy, hopefully, prayerfully, them wanting to design and create their own businesses. But that was what this was about. Standing for change was to empower our community to take back what is rightfully theirs, and hopefully have leaders in the community that's going to step up to the plate and do just that. Bring programs to our communities that's going to help our young folks and that's what that inspirational messages was truly about. And I'm just I'm in awe of the journey that I've
Yeah,
been on since.
yeah,
It's absolutely amazing of this work that we've been doing. I've been doing this for over, my son is 32, so I've been doing this for over 35 years, doing this work in our community,
yeah,
making sure that our people are empowered and lifted up and keeping our legacy alive, and knowing that is important, and it's going to come from us.
yeah,
It's going to come from us. We're looking for folks to help us, to pull us out, and it's going to be us. I'm looking for leaders that's in our communities. You guys have a new mayor here in Oakland, California. I'm hoping and praying that he will continue to be a part of change, you know, and that's going to empower our youth. But we have no choice. I've been on this battlefield for a long time, and I hope and pray that I will continue to have the opportunity to allow my gifts to shine and to empower and encourage somebody else. But
I
that was what this article
yeah,
was about.
I thought that was important because
I thank you, Mr.
it
Pearson, for
just
bringing
didn't
this up as a reminder.
exactly, yeah. And I was sharing last week that again the reparations piece about the red line of the Babe Ruth on the point, and saying
Mm,
that that was the
mm-hmm,
environment your
mm-hmm.
father was creating when she
Absolutely.
used to be great. He was creating that business in a racist environment that
Absolutely.
made it probably from a point where he had to start the business
Mm-hmm.
because they were going to let him go only certain places. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a testament to his ability and the family's ability to keep it moving,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't stop anything outside of the fact that it just made you guys more powerful.
Wow. And I do want to share what the topics for, well, one of the topics that was for at that actual workshop. It says the topic points for the day: a comprehensive community planning process for Bayview Hunters Point, Jeff Adachi, San Francisco Public Defender, um, Bayview Hunters Point Youth Needs Ac- assessment, a collective approach towards funding, holistic services, which we are talking about today, and
Yep.
reparations. So we're just a family. We need you. We need our community, and we need cultural sensitive um, approaches to our healing and our process. And that's why I love NAMI CC, the African American Uplift Program, which utilizes life experiences, African American centered approaches, and community defined strategies to uplift our communities, to uplift our people. So again, you can pull up the one line 92565, excuse me, 925-465-3864, and that is NAMI CC. There's different programs and groups that you can be a part of that will support you, your family dealing with mental health illnesses is not
Challenges.
challenges, right?
Mhm.
And we want to make sure that you know that you're not alone, and we are here to give our resources. This is what the platform for the Eyes of the Conscious Soul is all about. Under the topics and the programs that we bring is just to inspire and encourage our community, and bring what we have and bring our connections to the forefront, and the information and education. Go ahead, Mr. Pearson.
Well, I think that the discussion around antibiotic resistance and again the kind of lack of a snap judgment now for providers, particularly in the I work in, just not to give antibiotics. I think people need to reset because
Mm-hmm.
again, antibiotics don't kill viruses, and it just run the risk of resistance, and there is a price to pay in terms of early death and disability and illness. if these things aren't used properly. And again, we don't have a large armament because that's not a financial cow for the pharmaceutical companies. So I think there's a reset in order. So get your vaccinations. Have a great holiday. Be safe out there. Again, I'm suggesting folks to mask. I'm suggesting folks to wash hands. Suggesting folks to be vaccinated going into family events because the children are going to be affected. And I just don't want uh, folks to be crying over the holidays of a child they've lost because just the child got sick, and kids get sick, and so I mean, um, I just found I think it's a very perilous time right now, and so people have to be really more mindful, particularly if they have children, small children who are vaccinated.
And I do want to piggyback off what you were talking about, reset. And I'm asking individuals and family members, if you have an ought or something with anyone, please rebuild the relationship. We need each other.
Even if it's your baby's mama.
Even if it's your baby's daddy. We want you to make sure you rebuild your relationships because we need each other. Someone may have said a word or said something to you that you disagree of, or that at that particular moment, but I believe everything happens for a reason. God causes things to happen for a reason, for you to build better back and build a stronger relationship. A stronger relationship. Stop it. A stronger relationship.
Build back better Brazil.
Look.
Okay.
I know that's right. So we want you to, relationships are important. Please, 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 build your relationships, and it could be a family member or a friend or sister, girlfriend that you haven't spoke to in years because of an issue. Please put those down because life is too short. We just need to find out why it happened and how do we build from there. But sometimes things are said and done out of anger and not understanding, but it's totally up to us to build that back, build the relationship. So time flies when we're having fun. Wow, we have like 2 more minutes, Mr. Pearson. So, boy, what do we want to end with? What do we want to share? Gratitude. Okay.
November is Gratitude Month.
Gratitude Month.
And I want to wish everyone a great holiday as we proceed. This is going to be our month for diabetes, COPD, and we're going to talk about lung cancer too. And in November is also pancreatic cancer. That's close to my heart.
Mine's too. Oh my God.
Barbara's heart.
Yes.
And so I'm going to be reviewing the information in regards to that, in terms of testing and just being more vigilant because it seems to appear to be a genetic disease. So it's if your family member, quote unquote, direct line mother, sister, brother has it, you're probably from a genetic standpoint a little bit at risk too. It's because a lot of these things are they're discovered. And so I think alcohol plays a role, and I think tobacco plays a role, and I think poor diet plays a role, and stress, and just luck of the draw. Final thing on COPD in California, it says that 4.3 adults have been diagnosed with COPD in California. 1,321,000 have been diagnosed with COPD as an incident. 31.3 people out of every 100,000 die. So this is nothing to play with. Again, the big issues are higher portions of the women than men have COPD now. When I first started practicing, it was more men than women. And again, I think in regards to smoking, access to all the finer things in life, and so tend to be more stuff. Vaccination issues, and we'll talk more next week.
Well, education is the best medicine is the third
So
Saturday, so
we'll
that will
talk
be
more
you,
next
right?
week.
You will be adding
Uh,
more next week.
and I want to thank you. Thanks very much. Welcome back, Barbara. Thank you, my Facebook family, for tuning in, and
Hmm.
thank you, RTV and Believe Radio, for giving us this platform.
Once again, we want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music video station and all that kind of good stuff. So we want to thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please tell a friend to tune in to our broadcasting. We love you and we appreciate you. Be safe, be healthy, and good night.